Hello there, it is Ms. Chesson here. In this video, we are going to talk about the communication process, and we're going to talk about different forms of communication. So without further ado, let's get started with the communication process. Well, in this process, we have a sender. This is the person who has a message. They're taking the message from usually an idea in their mind or something that they would like to share with the audience. The person who listens to the message is the receiver. So they are the one who has to decode the messages that they are getting from the receiver, who encodes the messages. Okay, now this process is happening at the same time, and as the listener or the receiver of the message is listening, they are also sending feedback to the speaker or the sender of the message. Now you might be wondering, well, what type of feedback could the listener be sending to the speaker if the speaker is the one who's doing most of the communicating? Well, I want you to keep this in mind. We can never not communicate, and I'll tell you why. So let's say I'm sitting in an audience and I start to roll my eyes at the speaker, or I do this. Guess what? All of those nonverbal reactions are sending feedback to the speaker. If I roll my eyes, I might say I'm annoyed by something that the speaker said. Or if I do this, the speaker might then pick up that I'm bored. So all of those nonverbal aspects are actually communicating something to the person who is sending the message. So both of us are communicating at the same time. So in this class, I want you to focus on your audience. And as public speakers, if you want to be a more effective public speaker, you always need to keep your audience in mind. So we're going to have a lesson on audience analysis, and we're going to discuss why analyzing your audience to get the message to fit their needs is so important. So keep in mind, as public speakers, we are communicating to and for our audience. So again, if you're communicating to a group of 12-year-olds, you need to fit your message so that they can understand you. Or if your audience is a group of doctors, again, you're going to have to change your message so that they will want to listen to you. Don't just think that what you say is important, but actually how you say it is just as important, if not more important. So I want you to think about a time you were in a large auditorium, or you went to go listen to a speaker or a teacher, and you sat way in the back. Now this person might not have had a microphone, and their voice might have been very soft-spoken. If that was the case, how much of their message were you able to take in, if any? So keep that in mind. How you deliver your speech is just as important as what you're delivering, the content of your speech. So I want you to remember your vocal tone and how you are able to project your voice so that every member in your audience can hear you and take in more of your message. Okay, so there's going to be times where it's out of our control when there's too much noise going on. Okay, so we're going to talk about what communication noise is, what that means. So as I'm delivering my message, we might have external distractions that would stop you from hearing my message. Some of these might be a loud car passing by and honking, other people around you talking too loud, your phone's going off and you're just paying attention to, listening to your phone ringing. Those are some examples of external distractions or feedback noise, communication noise. Another example would be internal noise, daydreaming, thinking about anything other than what the speaker is saying or what the person you're communicating with is saying. So those things will also stop the audience member from hearing you. So it's important to remember that your audience is not always listening to you. Just think of yourself how easily you can get distracted, especially when you have a lot going on in your life and the speaker's talking and sharing lots of information. Keep this in mind. audience members are generally only going to pick up 30% of what you say. And the majority of what they're listening to is going to be at the introduction part of your speech and the conclusion. So whatever you want them to know, it's best to say it right away, repeat it, and then let them know again in your conclusion. Okay, so audience analysis is a very important part of preparing your speech. And of course, as you deliver your speech, those are things you have to keep in mind as well. The first step you're gonna do is ask yourself, who is my audience and how can I effectively deliver my message to the audience in a way that they can reap the benefits of, or that they can actually take away what you want them to take away. So again, consider your audience, and as you prepare your outline or as you prepare your material, do so with your audience in mind. So always keep them in mind, and as you're giving your speech, it will be that much more effective in your delivery because you will try to understand them and see things from their perspective. Okay, let's really quickly talk about different forms of communication. So we have intrapersonal communication. That is the communication that goes on inside your head, your daydreams, your thoughts, you're thinking about things that happened, you're using language to understand and to process, if you will, the events that happened to you during the day. The second type of communication we're going to talk about is interpersonal communication. So if you think of interpersonal relationships, well, interpersonal communication involves two or more people, and again, you're having a one-on-one, face-to-face conversation about any given subject. And then we also have small group communication, where you're meeting as a small group, you have a common goal or a purpose, and you're meeting, it could be for a period of time to, meet your goals. And of course, we have public speaking. In this class, we're going to focus on public speaking communication. What speakers need to consider as they deliver messages to their audience, however big or small your audience is. It's still important to keep your audience in mind and to effectively deliver your message, share your information in a manner where they can take more out of your message, your delivery, your speech. Okay, and that's why your introduction is so important. I am going to emphasize, how you create your introduction, how you create your outline, and of course, including an attention getter, because your audience is going to be listening intently at the beginning, and then you might slowly lose them. So the introduction is very important. And that concludes my speech. Okay, that's another part that your audience is going to be listening for. So whenever you say your closing lines for your speech, again, you have their attention. Make sure that you state whatever your main points were so that they can remember to, when they go, they take away that important message. Thanks for watching, and that concludes the first video.